Yeah, I think what I would say is to really trust yourself. I think timing is really important. Like if you really feel deeply that you are ready, but you're afraid, then to just trust the process, that you can take it step by step. And that's why Ari is amazing at helping a person to go through this process. You don't have to do it alone. And if you know that you have important wisdom to share, like now is the time. Our earth needs people, especially women, to be sharing their truths and their stories and their visions, and to just really trust your knowing, and that you can take it slowly and you'll be guided each step of the way.
Yeah, thank you. What was it about what I offer that made you say yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good question. I actually interviewed several people to help me with this project. And the reason I wanted to work with you, Ari, is because I could just sense that you had a level of depth that I needed in order to create deep work. Like I need a guide who can meet me in some of the most raw, vulnerable, wise, deepest feminine places. And I wanted it to be so well done. Like if I was going to invest my time and energy into creating a project like this, that I didn't want it to just be like any other podcast. There's so much content and podcasts out there right now. But I think there was a certain depth and quality that I was wanting in my own work. And so I could really sense that you held that. Like you had this kind of like archetype of the medicine woman that I was really wanting to um, cultivate for myself and cultivate for my listeners. And you can meet me in those places and also help me to help push me further into my depths and challenge me to stretch. So I wanted all of those things.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I mean, I think it is this dance, right? It's the dance of pushing, but not too hard, and
Mm-hmm.
allowing for space without letting go completely. So it's like this interesting organism of creativity that I felt like we did a really great job of just continuing to meet and stretch and grow together. What happened for you in the experience of being seen and witnessed and stretched inside of the details and minutia and wisdom of your stories, but then to take that and make art out of it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was very interesting for me. I had told all of these stories in my own therapy and with friends, or my own healing process in a therapist's office. But to imagine being able to share these stories to the world is a whole different level of sharing. And I think what was so beautiful about it was that I was, when I was sitting with a therapist sharing these stories, I was like in the trauma, or like I was in the stuckness of the pain of that was a result from some of the stories that I shared. And with you, it was like I was on the other side. So I got to really share the transformative process. It was like, kind of being at the beginning of the story in the therapist's office, but then with you, I got to share the whole chapter and how I've transformed. And I think for me, it was an initiation of some sort of just like coming into my leadership, my power, not feeling so contracted by these stories, but feeling truly empowered by these stories, and empowered so that I could share to the listener that they can also go through similar things and get to the other side and feel empowered by them. And even just, thinking about the very beginning, how I was just so afraid, and now feeling, with my own community, more comfortable to just share about myself and share my truth and be honest in that, and to stand firm in that and not be ashamed.
That's
Yeah.
really interesting, that idea of what this work does from the beginning through to the end. Like Can you describe or share about that transformation? Like, was there a point where it shifted for you?
Hmm.
I mean, there were many points of shifting.
Yeah, I think that there was a point, like, I mean, each step along the way, I had fear. Like I was afraid um, to pay the money and to commit to the process. Then I was afraid to um, share my stories with you. Then I was afraid to reach out to guests. But through each point, you know, it was just me listening to myself and listening to your guidance and really trusting the process and just showing up. It was really just about showing up each meeting that we had and doing the work. Um, and then holding myself through the fear and allowing myself to be afraid and to know that I was going to be okay. And that any point, if it was too much, I knew I could talk to you about it. And I knew that we could even take a break if we needed to. So I think, you know, each of those moments helped me feel stronger for the next moment of the process.
So in the times where it felt more challenging, we could just go back and re-record.
Yeah. Yeah.
That there was so much space for it to be clumsy, and that's okay. That is, you know, that's the learning, and that within that vulnerability, jewels came out throughout the whole thing. So it's yeah, I love what you say about fear and being with fear and allowing fear to just be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times when we feel afraid, we stop, or we get too avoidant or triggered, or whatever happens for us. But can you speak to that idea of hanging in there with the fear and just nursing that, tending that, so that you can expand into the next level?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think fear is such a great teacher, because when fear starts to speak loudly, I mean, those are our protective parts. Those are the parts that want to keep us safe. It's not like it's a bad thing to feel fear. The fear is there to make sure that we're okay in this world as we walk through this unfolding journey of our lifetimes. And like, I think for me, fear shows me what work still needs to be done, or like the places that I need to hold more tenderly within myself. So when I'm feeling really afraid, I could quit. And maybe sometimes that is what is being called for, like to take a break or to take time out. But for me, like, I think taking those moments when I'm feeling so afraid and really asking the deep questions of, okay, like, what do you need right now? What's really happening here? Like, what in you is feeling like you're not good enough, or that you can't rise to the task, or that your stories don't deserve to be heard? And I then just access like the deep well of resource that's like, you can do this, and it's okay to be afraid. Um and your stories matter. You know, it's like, it's this constant kind of dialogue with myself, I think. But it just shows me, like, you know, I think fear just points me to the places where I need to love myself more. So
In creative work, it is so essential for everyone to feel there is a deep psychological safety
mm-hmm.
to open.
Yeah. Well, and I think like the way you are like, uh, you hold many different pieces. Like, I feel like you're an integrated person. Like, you're able to, you're very detail oriented, and you're like, I think also the structure of the program helps me to feel safe too. It was like your presence felt nurturing and felt open and non-judgmental and curious, but you also like had a frame where I could feel some safety within the structure of the program. So that was also really helpful. Like, I just felt like you were very professional and organized, and also had the balance of like being flexible and and in process. I mean, I think that this project, I told so many people, like, you know, even if only a few people listened to this, it was totally worth it for me, because it was just like such, you know, the creative process of unfolding into my own leadership and unfolding into this next version of myself was really beautiful. So yeah.
Thank you so
Mhm.
much, Caroline.
Yeah.
Excited for you and for listeners and for my business. And, you know, it just feels really regenerative, the whole experience. It's awesome to wake up and feel energized by the work we do
Mhm.
and feel agency in this era, to feel like we're doing something that's helping people and using our gifts to bring more generosity, more creativity, just more light into the world. So,
Yes.
so I really appreciate you and thank you. And
Yeah, your mentorship the past year, it's like been so special for me, and like a real honor to work with you and learn from you. So thank you for holding my story so tenderly and honoring. Yeah, I felt like there was a way that you were able to confidently honor my stories and like believe that they were important, and so I could believe that they're important enough to share. So
Mm,
yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Well, and each story that you tell, it does, it leads to your purposeful work.
Mhm.
Each story is like a little seed on the path that brought you to where you are in
Mhm.
service to your clients and to the earth. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank